Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Don Pod for our huge, hyped 2022 season review.
Well, hang on, just stop. Was the year huge and hyped, or the review will be?
The review.
All right, just clarify.
Safe to say we have a little bit to talk about tonight. A few topics to discuss. It's been a little while since our last one. The last thing we talked about was Clarkson going to North, so that feels like an eternity ago. So I'll just for the people at home, I'll give a bit of a rundown. We'll look at the coach, we'll look at the CEO situation, we'll look at the Crichton Medal, and compare our Don Pod best and fairest to the results of the Crichton Medal, much anticipated, maybe by me, but that's okay.
And me.
Season recap, which we'll look at the players, every single player that played, enough games to really talk about. And we will look ahead to the draft a little bit as well. So strap yourselves in. Last year, our season review went for over 2 hours. So, yep, got 1,500 views on YouTube. So no pressure to.
I've only got one glass of drink. I don't know. I'm going to need more.
You can take a break. It's okay.
Yeah.
How are you, Nathan? Hello.
I'm okay. I'm okay, thanks, Sam. I think I'm getting a cold, so that'll be awesome.
Well, you might deteriorate over the next 2 hours.
You might hear some snuffling and some sneezing and some teary eyes. I don't really hear teary eyes, but I get watery eyes.
Okay.
It's an old age thing.
I'd probably get watery eyes too. I'd just be thinking of football club.
True.
Right. So we'll start at the start. Brad Scott, welcome to Essendon, if you're listening. I'm sure you are.
It's very easy now for everyone. It's Brad Bombers.
Bomber Brad Chris Cats.
Yeah. Not Brad Bad anymore, how we used to remember.
It remains to be seen. Somewhat left field in the end, appointment. Media were reporting someone different every day, but they were pretty hard on Brad Scott for the last few days before he was announced. And then it feels like an eternity ago now. He was. So I'll give my initial thoughts, and then Nathan, you can give your thoughts. I went through a few different stages, like the entire 7 stages of grief. I was pretty unhappy at the start, and then read some stuff on Twitter, just fan stuff, what they were saying, and went, oh yeah, okay. He's pretty strong, and he'd be harsh, and hardworking, and that sort of history, I guess. Took some pretty average North Melbourne teams to prelims, so credit where it's due. Then I watched his press conference and I was really impressed. So I was firmly on board with how he talked about you get nothing for free, hard work. He's no bullshit, no nonsense. Just we're going to have some highs and lows. Stick with us, and we'll see what happened. It was a really good press conference, I thought. Both him and Barham actually talked really well. That's just about the coach. Don't get too far ahead of me there. What do you think?
Look, my initial reaction was a bit of disappointment because I was barracking for another individual who shall remain nameless.
Nameless, yeah. Subtle.
My initial reaction was, I was like, oh, Brad Scott, Brad. I don't like the Scott brothers. I'm going to put it out there. They're always grumpy, angry, sort of. I like coaches that are a little bit more measured, and I think Truck went too far with that because he just didn't show it. Like even when really amazing things happened or really, really bad things, it was just nothing. I'm like, a little bit, but
same with Woosha, to be fair.
Yeah, but I don't care for coaches that respond to every umpiring decision, and all that sort of stuff. I think you need to be a bit above that because that's football and your, leadership and all that sort of stuff. I have no problem with the fact that I think he'll be very good strategically because he's been 3 years in a row in the AFL where his role has been to work out sort of the future of the game and where it's going, and by watching the game, seeing where it's traveling. So he should have a good understanding what all the teams are doing. There's probably a bit of internal information going to come through.
Well, that's quite encouraging, isn't it? That he's going to have a fair bit of sort of intellectual property, I guess, almost of other clubs and how they're doing it. So that's somewhat encouraging.
So they're positives. And look, I would argue too, the last point that North Melbourne in 14, 15, 16, when they were good, when he took them to 2 prelims, somewhere around there, wasn't it? I don't know exactly.
Around that period, yeah.
I couldn't tell you a good player at that. Seriously.
They had a reasonable call. You think of that final against us.
Yeah, but you think of the list. Like, who was it? Drew Petrie?
Petrie,
Um,
Lindsay Thomas, Boomer
yeah.
was still there.
Boomer Harvey, yeah.
Goldstein's a great ruckman.
Goldstein's still a good player,
Over
but
the
you know,
time.
they weren't superstars.
That's all I've got. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's all I could think of. And I'd have to look and go, oh yeah, he's probably all right. He was all right. But there's no one that anyway. So I think I would say that he probably took a list that wasn't very good to a higher level. That's you know,
won a final.
I think that's been out. I think we feel as our list is not horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. And we seem to be getting a lot of unders. So maybe if we can get a little bit of overs, that'd be nice.
I think it was Nathan Grimer. I heard a snippet from it. I don't know where it was from. Apologies. Where he said, you talk to any of those guys that played in those prelims, they didn't think they were there on talent. They were there on hard work.
And that's what we need. So I get that.
Did ask a North Melbourne supporter from work.
Where?
Yeah. Finance. If you subtle again. He said the only criticism he had of him over his time at North was that he let too many senior players go at once. Yeah. And that was ultimately his downfall. And well, thankfully at Essendon, he has no senior players to let go. So he could let go of 100% of them if he got rid of Heppel, but not going to happen.
Well, Andrew Phillips is now the oldest player on our list, I think. Wouldn't he be at 30?
Yeah. Between him
I think he's a little bit older than Heppel.
There aren't many.
No,
so yeah, I think
there's only Andrew Phillips, I reckon.
Regardless of whether we were passionately against it or not, he has to get a chance to prove himself. That's enough. Yep. And I'm with you. One of my major criticisms or things I didn't like seeing of Woosha and Truck was that they're emotionless. Yep. So we're getting something of polar opposite in Brad Scott, but when he's our coach, we might enjoy that.
I still feel very sad that the Herd didn't get it. I really felt if someone was going to be motivated to win, then he would have been the most motivated man.
Yeah.
I hope he can come back and be a part of the club in some capacity. That might not be an assistant coaching role or something. I just want to see his face around the club again in a positive, welcoming manner, not just sneaking into VFL games to watch his son, although he won't be doing that anymore, obviously. No, but we'll get to that a bit later.
Yes. Couple of final things on Bradley.
Yep.
He spoke about, what was I going to say? You waffled just for 2 seconds too long. It wasn't even your fault.
Seems like it is.
It's gone. Just a few comments so far. If you want to get in the comments on the Facebook Live, go nuts. We'll read them out. Phil just says, yo, how's it going? Hey, Phil. Nice to see you back on the podcast. What are we doing?
It's called Tony, Phil, how are you?
Scott, players need a passionate coach with some aggression. No more Mr. Nice Guy football. I added a few words there. Apologies, Scott.
I agree with that. We need someone that can make them
hard.
Yeah, that's
G-rated though. Matt Walters, end the saga. Let's move on.
Days like yesterday, we're trying to end the saga, and then shit like that happens. Anyway, shall we move on to that one?
Well, the next comment, James heard for CEO.
I don't have a problem with it.
That's a nice little segue. So
you can run a business. There's no doubt about that.
Just to recap, in case you've been living under a rock, I guess if you're on here, you've probably heard the news. Don't even know the guy's name. Was it Andrew Thorburn?
Oh, yeah.
Does that sound right? Appointed CEO Monday afternoon. Got a free ticket to the Crichton, rocked up, made a nice little speech, and resigned.
Was pushed out the door.
18 hours later.
Yeah, something like that.
Look, if it meant I got a free ticket to the Crichton, I would have probably done the same. What do you say? Interesting circumstances. Obviously, the report was that he was made to choose between his church, his position on the church board or whatever it was, the chairperson of.
Well, he was a board. He was on the board of the church of some overly stupid Christianity-based thing.
Yep. And he was made to choose between that and the CEO. He chose to stick with his church. Now, he made a statement on his LinkedIn, because that's what you do when you're a CEO, I guess. It's
funny because that's really dorky, but
it's really hard to talk about religion and things like that. And the narrative from his side was that his views shouldn't be opposed because they're on that side of the fence kind of thing. And that my issue is that if that church in particular, and again, don't know what it's called,
Faith of Hills or something stupid. It's
has
not even a real
stance-
religion. Let's be
has a
honest.
stance around and again, I'm going to make a fool of myself because I don't
I'll help
know
you, buddy.
properly.
I went to school in Catholics.
Around the LGBTQ
Yep.
community and around abortion and all that sort of thing. They have some pretty horrendous views that directly conflict with the club's values.
Especially the welcoming sort of all-encompassing sort of thing. Especially what we're trying to do with,
everything.
Pride Round and all those sort of,
we have a group of supporters, the Purple Bombers, that are there to promote that part 100%. Of it. And to be directly, even if they're not his personal views, if you're the chairperson of that particular church, then you are representing those views, and you can't then be CEO of a football club that values those exact opposite things about inclusiveness and about having everyone can go to the footy and feel safe, all that. So,
now I agree with all that too. The other thing I will say just quickly, the big issue for me too, like I think what you're discussing there is, I think it's very valid and very, and I think there's two sides to that. And I think that's an argument that people could have. I think you could say,
but the bigger issue about him is?
The biggest issue about him was the fact that he was the head of the NAB Bank when the Royal Commission and the commissioner himself, I can't remember the commissioner's name, the Royal Commissioner pointed at him and said, Mr. Thornbury, was he? Thornburn, you have done things that I think are wrong. And basically said him and the board, chief of the board, a doctor somewhere or other, I remember reading about this, you both knew things were going on and you just sort of brushed it away and say, oh, that's, and I think there's a quote in there about how you basically let $100 million slide into your bank accounts and didn't do anything about it because you were like, nah, it's all right. And he pointed and he named this guy, that Mr. Thornburn.
I'm trying to find it. Yes, it is Thornburn.
Yeah, Thornburn. It's in Wiki. If you read Wiki, it's got the quote down the bottom about this from the Royal Commission. And I'm like, well, so he, like,
it was never
isn't that a big enough red flag of someone that's coming into the company as a CEO? Like, forget, I understand the religion. We'll park that to the side for a bit. This as a CEO, no, I don't want him. Sorry.
Yeah, correct. You can't have that reputation in the business world, and then just expect to waltz into a football club that's had a lot of issues. To put it lightly. But also, I want to stress the religion thing because it's such a dicey area to talk about. It's not his views that were the issue. It was the fact he represented the church.
And it's their views. So, and I guess he might be able to say, but he might be able to say, I don't agree with everything that's preached at church, but
if you're the chairman of that church, you're representing their views.
There's the famous, and I love this quote from a general, I think he was in the Australian Army, maybe he wasn't a general, but he was a high-ranking military person. He says, the actions you walk past are the action you accept.
Yeah.
So if you walk past them and go, yeah, that's fine, that you're accepting that. So if he's not saying something to them and making it public, well, then he's just like, well, that's part of the religion I'm in.
Which in a sporting sense is why Steve Smith got suspended from the Australian team. He was responsible. He was the captain. I'm not going to talk about Herd because it's going to get me emotional, but you're exactly right. If you accept those behaviours, or if you ignore those behaviours, you're accepting them. So
anyway, CEO not happy. We'll move on to another one, hopefully. And as I said to you, can we not make a big announcement for this one? Can we just sort of slide it off as an email to all the members? And just all the members, by the way, here's a new CEO. Boom. Yep. Done. Don't make any announcement. Greatest day in our club or anything stupid like that.
It's not the greatest day in our club. The greatest day in our club was, are you okay? For anyone who's not watching, Nathan's just amused himself because his hand makes his microphone appear from the background.
No, it was in the background.
Yeah, okay. We'll move on because of all the people listening or watching this, a very low percentage.
It's classic though if you watch it on YouTube. Hilarious.
Jump on our Facebook page, Glory and Fame Don Pod. About
Sam will make that into a little snippet, and you can just watch that bit.
I almost definitely won't. 17 minutes in, you'll see what we're talking about. It will be a great disappointment. We're not going to sit here and hypothesize around who the CEO might be. We can joke about Herd. It probably won't be Herd. He's got a lot of business acumen, but he's never been a CEO. It's not going to happen.
I don't know. Up again.
They won't. They
Snake.
can't.
Can't.
Can't get any worse than that.
Anyway, let's
All
move
right,
on.
Couple of comments. People suggesting Hurd for CEO. Ed Woodward for CEO with an upside down
Woodward.
smiley face. I'm guessing
Ed
that's
Woodward.
facetious.
He was an actor.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was an actor. Edward Woodward.
Edward Woodward.
Yeah, that was his name. Edward Woodward.
Woodward. More relevant news. Travis Cloak has signed as the women's senior coach.
Yes.
For the VFLW, that is the VFLW.
Yep, that's fine.
Was quite
Yeah,
bizarre going onto the Don's website and seeing him in an Essendon shirt, but there you go. Congrats to.
He's just
Trav.
trying to get his career going as a coach, obviously, and he's taking the steps. That's fine.
That's it for the comments. So we'll move on. Right, Crichton Medal now.
The Crichton.
The Crichton. Now I wasn't able to go this year, unfortunately.
There were some issues with the suit choice.
Yeah, I'm in between my fat and skinny suits. That wasn't why I didn't go, but I had in between my fat and skinny suit.
Oh, there was so much talk, kids, out of how Sam was struggling either to not eat to get into the skinny one or just let it all go and move into the fat one.
Anytime I would eat anything at work, Nathan would tell me, "You're not going to fit into your suit." Right. So if you ever want to lose weight, go to Nathan because he'll guilt you over anything.
Pretty funny.
Shattered I didn't get to go. I would have loved a photo with the big man Pete, but anyway. So 2022 Crichton medalist Peter Wright, just absolutely
Our boy Peter.
Our boy. We called it 6 months before it happened. No one knows that because we did it at our own time. But
we did the lunch break. We had a conversation about it. And I don't care when anyone says it's true.
We know what happened. Geez, he'd be a good get, wouldn't he? Yeah, top 10 draft pick. Yeah. And not only that, we got him, but for a 4th round draft pick. And Gold Coast, I don't know if they still are, but they were paying part of his wage. That is.
I hope they're not paying part of his wages this year because that would be really crushing.
Sure, they're not, but what a deal. 53 goals. I don't want to go too much into the player review. Actually, I did tell you not to do that, and I'm about to do it myself.
I didn't say anything. Say second.
What a guy, honestly. Now, the whole reason we waited to do this podcast was to compare the Crichton medal, against the Don Pod Best and Fairest, because we hold ourselves accountable here at the Don Pod. And I'm not upset.
Who did we have 1, 2, and 3?
So I don't know how I want to do this.
1, 2, 3, buddy.
First, we had Darcy Parish just pipping Peter Wright by 2 votes. So what we had first was actual 9th in the club best and fairest.
I'm okay with that.
Peter Wright, we had 2nd. I'm happy with that to have him that close. Zachy Merritt, we had 3rd. He came 2nd. We'll take that.
Yep.
We had Shield 4th. He came equal 9th. We had Rusty Martin 5th. He came 8th. We had Redmond 6th. He came 4th.
Yep, that's right.
We had.
Really curiously, where did we have Matt Guelphy?
I'm getting there. We had Ridley 7th. He came 5th.
Yep.
We had 5 players then that didn't feature in the top 10. Yeah. We had Guelphy at 13th, who came 3rd, and we'll talk about that when we talk about.
How many votes did we give him?
We gave him 2 best on grounds, no second best on grounds, and one vote. And by 2 best on grounds, that was the same game. We both gave him 3 votes. It was against.
So we got 4 votes for us.
We polled votes in 2 games for us. So we were very wrong, but we'll cover that later.
Were we? Were we?
Well, yes. You have to say that, don't you? We had Pidge 14th, he came 10th. We had Jake Kelly 16th, he came 7th somehow. We had Lav 18th, he came 6th. Then we had Hind 19th, and he came equal 9th. All in all, pretty. How
many votes did we give Zerk Thatcher?
It's a good thing I didn't close it. He came 9th for us. So that was a pretty good. He got a lot of votes in the games he played.
He was very good in the games he played.
So that's
Do we address the elephant in the room then?
That's not nice. I know I'm not in my skinny suit, but do you mean Guelphy?
Yeah, Guelph. So
can we leave it until we talk about Guelph? Because we're going to talk about the players.
Yep. All right, fair enough. Yep.
We'll make it.
If anybody's got comments they want to make about Guelph coming 3rd, please do so now.
Well, get your comments in on the players now, because you're not going to really have time to do it when we talk about them. So if you have a comment on a particular player, do it now, and I'll try and keep up as we go through. Right, quick season recap in case you missed it, in case you're in a coma for the last 6 months. We finished 15th, 7 wins, 15 losses. We ranked 15th in total points for, and we were third most points against. So, I mean, as a season for the football club, just in terms of football, pretty shite. In terms of off-field stuff, pretty shite. So, good times. Right, let's crack on with the players. So I'm just going to go through. I'll give a little brief sort of stat rundown of their season, and then we'll talk about them. We'll try not to waffle because we've got a lot to go through.
There'll be a lot less waffling on some of them, that's for sure.
A lot less on some, not others, perhaps.
Yep.
I sense a discussion on Guelphy at the very least. We'll just do it in player number. Makes a lot of sense to do it that way. So, number 1, Andrew McGrath. Played 18 games this year. Averaged 21 disposals, 21 and a half. Averaged 2.5 tackles and kicked 2 goals, 5. Best performance of the season, at least in disposals, was 31 against Collingwood on Anzac Day. I'll start and you can start with the next one. Pretty uneventful season for Pidge, really.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot. He was good in some games and we heavily debated him and his position pre-season. There was a few cry-outs for him to play off half-back. We were thinking, no, he's a number 1 draft pick. He has to play in the middle. Ended up on half-back. We were wrong about that. And was fine. I don't have an issue, really.
Yeah, look, how many games? 18 games. Yeah, so he didn't take any steps was probably the concern.
Yes.
Like he wasn't. I would have thought he was probably as good as player he was in 21 as he was in 22. The stats show that he didn't do anything very well. Like he's elite or above average in kicks, which because he played off the half-back line, he probably got a lot of that. But he was very poor in like disposals, in tackles, in clearances because he just didn't go near the midfield.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's champion data. So he was average in every category other than kicks, above average, as you said, and marks was above average.
Yeah, so
for his position.
Yeah, just as you said, it was just a very flat year, like nothing special.
I don't remember a highlight. I know he was good in one game. I remember talking about him saying, geez, Pidge was good.
Well, and that I think that reflects even in the voting of ours as well as theirs. I mean, he got 100 votes less than Peter Wright. Like he came 10th. Like that's not very good. Let's be honest, for a number 1 pick.
No, he hasn't.
Who's missed 4 games for the year,
as we would have hoped. He would have got votes. Yeah, we gave him votes.
I think in the future it'll be interesting to see a new coach where they think that he plays. I don't mind him as a half-back flanker. I don't if that's the role they want to play him in, but he needs to be really damaging down there, and I don't know if he can be.
Correct. And he's nothing. And I think that's the thing. If you have that half-back role, you want them to be a deadly kick.
He's not.
He's not. He's a bit of a rushed.
Yep. A bit of a loopy sort of.
A bit loopy.
Well,
got to be to play for Essendon.
I came wrong. Yeah, I think he's more damaging from his pace than his kicking, and his ability to accelerate from a contest and that sort of stuff. Will get through traffic.
He can accelerate away really well.
Yeah, that's he's more like as a defender. That's his. Whereas someone like D'Ambrosio, he's more about kicking it out of a trouble spot. Like he's going to use his foot skills to get out. Anyway, I'd just say, bruh.
Fair enough. 5 out of 10 for me. If we're going to do ratings.
Yeah, I mean, if we're ranking them, that's about 5 to 6. Yeah.
Yep. Right. We'll pump up the energy for number 2. Goal of the year.
Fucking awesome.
Goal of the year, Sammy Draper. He sliced him, he diced him, he did something.
No, don't.
Sliced him,
it was bad commentary.
It was horrendous. Goal of the year, probably up there for the most hilarious award acceptance on Brownlow night because he had to pre-record a video from Spain and he was very, very proper and not what you'd expect. He had a good year, Sammy. I'll let you talk first. Do you want me to run through stats or have you got stats?
I've got a few stats that I think like clearances. So he was elite. Is elite or above average? Above average in clearances. And that I think that's his real strength. And the other thing I loved about him this year is his goal. Like we kicked goal of the year, but he kicked I want to say 15 goals.
Can
Let's
tell
guess.
you this 12.
12. I mean, we wouldn't even have midfielders that got anywhere near that, did we?
Yep.
But look, Merritt would have kicked 5.
We'll get, probably.
Yeah. So look, he is our future, and this is no big out there statement. He is the future of our ruck department for the next 10 years, and it's exciting.
The great thing about Sammy is he has a great name, obviously. His hit outs were average for the competition.
Yeah, he's
24
that's not one of the, yep.
a game, but averaging 3.9 total clearances a game, which is above average, and somehow his career average is less but elite. So he can win his own footy.
Well, and I think
that miraculous stuff where he kicked goal of the year, but he's equally likely to miss the ball when he kicks it, which is just entertaining. He's energetic. He loves playing footy. He loves his teammates. He's an absolute larrikin when they sing the song. He's the perfect bloke to have around a football club, really.
I think if he improves on his ruck work, which he will, like tapping and tap to hit outs to advantage, which he will get better at. Added to that, his ability to take the ball out of a clearance and run away from other midfielders, like we saw him do many a time. He is an absolute weapon at 100 kilos and 6'10" or 11, whatever he is.
Magnificent.
He's an absolute weapon to have, and very exciting.
And just to put the feather in his cap, played every game this year, 22 games. He played 13 was his previous best last year. His previous best goal tally was 2.
And that's the thing that I loved about him was the goals. He was taking marks, at 30 or 40.
He was dangerous at stoppages though, as well. He could chuck it on the boot from a ruck contest and kick a goal. I love Big Sammy.
No, very excited. I think he's a player that he's going to take. He could. I think I'm going to say it. All Australian potential. Yes.
Maybe not next year, but yes.
No.
His career.
It's potential, Sam. It could be 8 years from now.
Yeah. I'm going to give him an 8. I think he's got stuff to work on with his kicking. It is getting better, but he's got areas like you said, that's to advantage as well as something else. But solid as for a 24-year-old, 205 centimeter ruckman, he's well ahead.
Oh, he's tracking along beautiful, and what I like too is he seems to love the clubs, love the boys. He's not a player we have to worry about leaving, which is exciting because that's a concern for us.
One comment on Sammy. Phil says he's unpredictable, and I love it.
Yeah.
Spot on. Yeah. Any ratings for him?
I'll give you the same 6.5.
6.5.
8.
8.5. Thank you. I was going to say, careful. Right, Darcy Parish, just 16 games in 2022, 31.3 disposals average, which is elite in the competition, 13.8 kicks, which is above average, not bad for a bloke who gets hammered because he handballs the ball too much.
Yep.
17.5 handballs, which is elite. Probably should have led with that. 3.5 tackles a game, which is average across the competition, and 6.1 clearances a game, which is elite.
Yep.
In terms of season performances, had 44 touches on Anzac Day against Collingwood. And his best game in terms of fantasy was Dreamtime against Richmond, 146. Huge. As I said, 16 games and 3 goals, to further your point about midfielders.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what we're going to do is we're going to say a lot of similar things about our midfielders. And I think Darcy Parish is one of the ones that his clearances were elite, same as Shields. They were both elite in that level of getting the ball out and getting it. Obviously, that's what a clearance is. Shouldn't have said that. It's a bit stupid. But these are the guys that you build clubs around. I really believe that. And I think that there's a bit of talk about, we should trade him out and that. He got 17 votes or 18 votes in the Brownlow the year before when he had one of his first
25 votes.
Sorry, 25 votes when he had one of his best years, which would have won it most years. He is a player that I know people say, he just handballs. He just gets, sheepdog. He gets around the back. He is in and under grunt work, and I think he will thrive under a hard unit coach. And we'll see the best out of him next year if he gets his body. Like, he's been injured this year, and that was a bit sad. But mark my words, All Australian next year. and
Mark my words. I love
and
it.
will win a Brownlow.
Geez, you made some big calls. I'm only 3 players in.
I know it's going to go downhill real quick
Real quick.
because we're at number 4.
If I was at all organised, I would love to.
Won't be organised, Sam. Why be organised? We've only had weeks to do this.
Shut up. So Das was equal ninth in the competition for centre clearances. And I think my point I want to make here, and it's a knock on all of our midfielders, not just Darcy Parish, is that he's equal 18th in stoppage clearances. So we can win the ball from the centre bounce when we've got the nice 6-6-6 setup, but when the ball's around the ground, him being in that equal 18th position is our best at the club as well.
That's right. But and then the same knock on the other there's that knock, but the other knock on all 3 of them, or all 3 or 4 of them, is that they can't kick goals. Parish, Merritt, and Shield wouldn't have kicked more goals than Draper combined.
All right. Well, I'll keep track of that actually
because that's the thing that we need to find, and hopefully it's Perkins could move into that role in the future. We need to find a midfielder that can get in and get 20 plus possessions, not 30 or 40. You got Parish as your big possession getter. You got to have a guy get 20 and kick 3, and in a game, and it's not Stringer anymore. If anyone says, "Oh, that's Stringer," it's not him anymore. It's no. His body will not make seasons. He can't do it. He's just stick him in the forward line, see if he can kick 50 goals in a year.
Yeah. So I don't want to be too critical of him because he was injured.
He was injured for a bit.
Inconsistent in terms of playing games. He was on, off, on, off, on, off.
Yep.
Missed the last couple of games of the year through injury. When he played, he was like we had him winning our Donpod BNF. So when he played, we clearly thought he was good enough, and to win that from 16 games says something. Again,
we value the way he plays the game.
Yeah. And that's just our voting and our
our view. We're allowed to have our view.
Phil,
it's not religious.
Phil, love the content. Phil, thank you for talking to us. Sounds like I'm knocking him, but Darcy took a step backwards this year. He was more damaging last year. Absolutely. But last year he played 20-something games.
Yeah.
I can tell you, he played 23 games. He played every single game last year. So
and won the medal in 2 or 3 games. Like
every single best on ground medal available, he won.
But the thing is that I didn't see that he hadn't lost that skill this year. He just looked a bit. His body just wasn't doing what he wanted it to do.
And it would have been hard to do that again.
Well,
he had an outstanding year last year. Like it was.
But I think he can do that again. I think that he can get to that level.
It was very, very good. So even if he matched that, it would have been a huge win for him.
And 25 this year, so still 7 good years of football left in him.
He's not even peak age yet.
Yeah, he's just coming into prime age. So
into that,
Yep.
7 for Das. I know we can do better, but I understand that inconsistently playing football can be difficult. And
I'll give him a 6.
Yep, fair enough. Right, number 4. Kyle Langford.
Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. I can't do the voice. If you get it, you get it. That was terrible. Just the 9 games for Mr. Langford this year. Did his hammy in round 1 and didn't see him again until halfway through the season. Just about.
Came back to the last game, didn't he?
Well, he was back. No, but he missed half the season with the hammy. So, look, his stats are nothing incredible. 13.8 disposals, 4.7 marks, which is above average. You'd expect that for a midfielder winger who's 192 centimeters. Very low on total clearances. Don't really know if he got too much in the middle.
As I said, I don't think it's worth looking at his stats. I think
10 goals is my pro for him. When he played forward against Brisbane, I think kicked 4.
Yep.
So
here's my question to you on Kyle. What role does he play next year? If you're the new coach you're rolling in, is he your wingman or is he a half forward? Is he a half back? Is it where do you see him playing next year?
He's wing half forward for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have a lot of other options in terms of wingers. I don't think he's a great winger for us. He's certainly not the build that you have good teams rolling with wingers. So probably more half forward. I'd like to see him half forward maybe, most of the time because he can kick goals. He can take a mark as a forward. He's a lovely set shot as a forward. And he can kick 2 or 3 goals in a game.
My concern with him is that he's 26. He's never played a season more than 17 games in his career, so it's like 7 years or whatever.
Factually incorrect. He played 18 in 2019.
Okay, he's played 18 is the most he's played. That's
Sorry, go on.
he just. I worry about and this is a bit like Laverde. I was starting to worry about him. Like he couldn't, body just didn't seem to get him through. But now he's got through 2 years, Laverde. So maybe that's changed, and maybe Langford can do the same. But my concern with him is I don't think he can play wing because although he's elite at running, like when we do our training, like he always seems to break down with hamstrings or something like that throughout the year. And I'm like, just get a bit over it, like.
Yeah, it's hard and like personally, I thought, or still think he has a big role to play in us being a good side. That's frustrating when they do just get injured and you can't really see what their potential is now because he just hasn't played football. But
I do think he's a good football player. I just question.
I wonder if
the body.
If his body's right, is he a midfielder?
No,
he's
not good enough to be a midfielder. I don't think so. He's not quick enough.
Okay, my thought process here is that just a little bit could be just the number 4 on his back. He moves a little bit like Jobe.
Yep, but the thing about Jobe was he was a bull. Like he could rip, the ball out. Whereas Langford doesn't. He's a big guy. Like he's 191, as you said. But he doesn't. I can't picture him dragging, the ball out and people hanging off him while he gets out of handball.
But is that something he can?
Well, if he hasn't done it at 25, I don't know if he's going to do it, Sam. Like he's 25, 26 years old. When does he do it at 28? Like Cripps did that. If you're talking about like a Cripps, he was doing that in his second year. Like he had people hanging off him. He was getting handballs out. I just don't think that's Langford. I think we want it to be because we see this body and we see the number 4. But in all reality, he's not. He's not that guy.
90% the number 4. Actually, I went to Collingwood Fremantle in the semi-final and walked past Jobe doing his Channel 7 stuff and just about...
Got a little Woody?
Yeah, I love Jobe.
We all do.
Look,
I'm old enough to love Tim.
Yeah, I'm not. I think Phil summed it up in the comments. He didn't play enough to really have an impact. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
100%. He needs to play more football for us to be able to see. So, I mean, I'll stick with the sort of McGrath kind of views. I'll give him a 5, just bang in the middle.
I won't. I'll give him a 3.
Oofed. Harsh, yeah.
Oofed. I'm harsh.
You are a bit of a dick like that.
The next guy, what is he going to get? Number 5.
Oh, dear. Hurdy. I mean, Devon made the same joke about Lav. Yeah. Lav? Langford. Right. Dev, I don't think we need to harp on too much. Man played 8 games.
Guy's gone.
He's retired. 8 games, 3 goals. And honestly, that's all that's worth reading out. Dev, you were great for your first season.
Yeah, just for one season. Let's be honest. He was very, very good for one season.
Your body's let you down. We can all accept that.
Yep.
And
if he turns up playing next year somewhere, I'll be very angry.
I'll be upset. I don't know what else we can say. I don't remember him playing. I know he played 8 games. I don't remember.
The only game I remember was when we were struck down by a lot of injuries. He couldn't run at the time, and he was.
That was a Hawthorn game, and there was a bit of media around that, wasn't there?
And we won that game, as I recall.
Yes, we ran away, and Pete kicked 6.
Yep, and that was a great. I think that's a great way for him to finish. I think he might have kicked a goal in that game, actually. I think he tried to kick a lot of goals from my memory of this year. A couple that he tried to get off, like when young players were having set shots, he was trying to steal it off them.
Yeah, he was a bit sneaky.
Yep.
Look, he's
sad to go, but it's
that Crichton year. He got an AFL record for tackles in a season, so
and never went close again.
Was very good that year, and his body let him down. So
that's in the past. Let's move on.
Leave it at that for Dev. I think I'll give him a 10 just because he retired. I can do that.
No,
I'm running the show.
I'll give him a 1 then to offset your 10.
Yeah, right. Average of 5. I'll take it. Oh, that's not an average of 5. That's an average of 5.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that smart, but that wasn't hard for me.
It is an average of 5. We'll round.
Yeah, okay. We're rounding down.
We're rounding down.
I should have given him 0. Then you would have been right.
Yeah. All right. on that tremendous segue.
We're only up to number 6.
Number 6, yeah, we got to.
Is anyone still listening? Have they all just go, fuck
No,
this?
it's consistent at sort of 7 to 10. That's whoever's here, we appreciate. We love you. Speaking of things we love, number 6, Jai Caldwell.
Love Joe Caldwell.
Absolute steal, I think, for the football club now. He's fit, 20 games this year, just the 6 goals, averaging just under 20 touches a game, 4.3 tackles, which is above average in the competition for midfielders, and we love that.
21 years old.
Did an absolute
22.
job on Lachie Neale, who I probably in hindsight wish he didn't, because Lachie Neale would have won the Brownlow if he didn't. But anyway.
I don't want Lachie. Why don't we keep going?
Yeah, well, yeah, don't worry about it. Again, fairly no amazing games. As I said, that Brisbane game on Neale up at the Gabba was amazing. He kept Neale very quiet and really got 26 touches of his own. I remember him bursting out the middle and slapping through a goal from 50 from a stoppage, from a centre clearance. He's a good player to have at the club, and it is amazing. He's previously to this year, he's played 2, 9, and 3 games in a season.
Cranked out all of them this year, did he? Or
20. So
20,
he's 2. So in a club that's criticised for the way we manage players and manage their injuries, that's a huge win.
We got one right.
Yeah. And I hope.
No, great player. Tackling machine, gun midfielder. He's 22 years old.
22, yeah.
22. Like, excited about the future of him. He's one you can pin your hopes on. Him and Hobbs and Perkins, guys like that are going to be a future important cognitive. Yeah.
Again, I feel bad because I have no issues with him, so there's not really a whole lot to talk about with him. It's
That's fine. That's we don't have to talk about every one of them, but for 10 minutes, like we just say good, he's a good solid year. Good solid year. Look for more next year.
It's natural to have more to say when they're shithouse, I guess.
Well, it is because I think what we want to see from Jai Caldwell is 22 more games next year, an improvement, a few more games like we talked about with that Neale game where he,
more defensive mid,
gets maybe 15 to 20 possessions and, holds someone accountable and also, does a bit of work himself. So that's what we're looking for. He becomes a very important cog in our midfield because he's a guy that we can shut down someone with. And that's really important to have. Now, he's not going to probably shut down Cripps or, but
for that Lachie Neale, Tom Mitchell sized player, he's perfect.
Like Petrarca, he's not going to go to him, but he could shut down Oliver. Yep. I think he did a job on Oliver towards the end of the year, didn't he? Anyway,
I played them once.
No, well, so he becomes that guy, which is a really important weapon to have in any coach's arsenal, to have in his ass and all.
Come on. I'm going to copy Phil. Jai was a solid 7.5.
Yeah.
Will run
100%.
Phil. Right. Number 7, Zachy Merritt.
Zachy Merritt.
Now, let's have a look here because I need to look at his goals. Right. 19 games, missed a few games early with syndesmosis. I still can't say it right. So just the 19 games, played 19 games, 6 goals. Him out of 19 games. That's higher than I would have thought, which is why I sound a little bit impressed.
But that falls into the below average for a midfielder.
Yes.
Biggest knock on him, great player, biggest knock, can't kick goals.
In terms of stats, average 30, elite, 15 and a half kicks, elite, handballs above average, tackles above average, total clearances above average.
Everything's excellent. It just needs to kick goals.
We know what we get from Zachy. I think we were a little bit critical of him through the year. He just didn't seem himself.
Well, they pushed him out to a wing.
The entire club was shit.
But they pushed him out to a wing, which I didn't totally agree with. I don't think he's a winger personally. Maybe he can be. I don't know. It depends on who they're bringing through the midfield. But I mean, his best football for us has always been in that as that midfielder. So interesting to see how that goes over the next few years because we agree that the wing is a big weakness for us. So I guess they're trying to push him out there to cover that. But then in doing that, he's taking away a very, very good player from the midfield. So anyway, I love the guy. I think he's heart and soul player. He's never going to be a future captain. I don't think he's got the personality for it. He doesn't seem aggressive or strong. Yeah, he's not a beat your chest, get the boys up sort of guy. He seems like just do what I'm doing, and we'll be all okay. So great player. Just kick a few more goals. Thanks, mate. That'd be just a real super bonus.
To back up my point of him being a bit meh early in the year, from rounds
Mhm.
1 to 16, we gave him 2 votes between us, and that was you giving him a 2. I didn't give him any votes in the first
there you
16,
go.
so first 15 rounds. From round 16 to 23, he got 7 best ons between us, and another 2 votes.
Well, that was very
So-
similar to his Brownlow too. If you look at his Brownlow numbers,
Yeah,
he was
back-ended.
not polling very much until about that round 15, 16 when he went bang and jumped into 17 votes or something to the end of the year.
Form's temporary, class is permanent. He is a classy player.
Yep,
and
100%.
I'm not going to. 7.
I'll give him an 8.
I think these ratings are a bit
Yeah, I don't know, they're just numbers.
devastated. Yep.
Well,
I
I didn't know we were rating them.
No, but neither did I. It was a bit spur of the moment, to be honest. Right, we'll move on. Number 8, blue-eyed, blonde hair,
Oops.
Ben Hobbs.
The Horsham boy.
Let me find some statistics. First season, played 17 games, which is excellent as a first-year player. 8 goals to boast, which is, again,
Better
by
than our other
comparison to
midfielders,
Some of
but
the other midfielders, very good.
But he did play forward.
In terms of his benchmarking, he 14.5 disposals, which is above average. I'm guessing he'd be a half forward by
Yeah, they would
that.
surely.
He's not a midfielder on those numbers. Handballs above average, marks above average, tackles average.
look.
So he is, for a first year player, to at times be the most ferocious tackler and to be what I perceive to be the most interested in winning and playing hard footy. He kicked a couple of goals. I can remember one goal, probably his first goal. He celebrated and loved it, like just real passion to be playing footy and playing for Essendon. So, I don't have much else to say. I think he was really solid, and we got probably more than what we could have expected out of his first season.
He's a future leader, I think. He's got that personality that I think, he's got the arrogance, a bit of a,
Swagger.
bit of swagger. Like, he's
looking.
got,
Rooster.
hey?
Good looking Rooster.
He looks determined. He wants success. He's got all those sort of aspects. I thought his kicking was a bit poor at different times. His decision making was a bit poor at different times, but there was enough. I saw enough to say, yeah, he's a really good pick. What are we getting for pick 12 or 11?
13, I think.
13 was it?
And
he's a very good.
Slip that far.
Yeah, he wasn't meant to, but he looks like he'll be a very good player for the future. 200 game sort of player. So, happy to have seen him play 17 games. I know he hurt his shoulder and whatever. Remember, he did.
And he kept
did
playing
so, and that seemed to affect him a little bit towards the end of the year too. So no problems with him. If we were ranking him, I'd give him a 25.
25, nice. I'll give him a 76.
Mine was out of 29.
We've lost it now.
Yep.
We're 8 players in. We've lost our ranking system. Look, I'll echo what you said. I think the only issue I had was he got caught on his wrong foot when he could have had shots at goal. If he just had an opposite, I think if he had a left foot, he could have kicked a couple more goals.
I'm sure he's learning a few things over the
preseason
process of here.
Don't hold on to it. Just work on it, and
that's right.
We'll be right. Number 9. Tempted to say my boy, but I'm not sure.
He can be your boy. He's one of the older players at the club, being that he is 4th oldest. No, well, Michael Hurley's gone. He's the 3rd oldest player at the club now.
Is that what, 29?
He'd be 30 in March.
Yeah, right. We're talking, of course, about Dylan Shield.
Pretty amazing, let's be honest.
Who probably unfairly copped a lot of criticism from us included.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Well, it wasn't unfair. Like the Sydney game was pretty embarrassing for him.
He was poor, but I think we got swept up a little bit in it.
Yeah,
19 games this year, just the 3 goals. So to circle back to your Draper comment, Draper kicked 12 goals for the season. Parrish, Merritt, and Shield. He did not kick 9 goals. He wears number 9. Also kicked 12. So they've equaled the output.
Oh, God, that's hard. That's something that needs to improve 100%.
Good call from you. Right. So Dill, 22 or 23 disposals above average, elite in clearances, and he falls into that category with Parrish. Very good at centre clearances. Numbers drop way off for the stoppage clearances around the ground. 4.5 tackles as well, which is above average. That's what really impressed me. When he turned it around, he was getting more ball, he was getting more clearances, but he was tackling. He had a game late on where he got 10 tackles.
Yep.
And he kind of took it on his shoulders to go, oh, I've copped it. Fair enough. This isn't good enough. And he came out, and that puts you higher in my books to turn it around. So I'm a big fan of him being able to do that.
Yep, I agree. He from that game where he nearly got dropped, or he was dropped,
yes.
Whatever they're calling that. He was as good a player as anyone for the rest of the year.
Yep,
I would argue. And the interesting thing about that is he now will be our second most experienced player at the club behind Heppel,
which is amazing, really.
Which is concerning and amazing because of the things we said at the start of this. He didn't play well. He nearly got dropped. Like we're talking about, and then he responded really well and became a better player. Now I hope to God that he just plays well all next year. Like he doesn't need a reason to play well. Like it's just
that's fair.
Yeah, like just play well. You're the second most experienced player at the club. You need to be leading and telling these boys what to do and showing them what leadership is.
Brad Scott will be a good coach for him, I think.
I think Brad Scott will be good for a lot of these guys now that we go through it and we talk about that. We think we need that rough, tough.
Yeah,
can do it or get out.
No bullshit approach. And just to feather in the cap of Dill, he led the competition for average centre clearances. With
he was
3.9.
Awesome.
Which to lead the comp in any stat is pretty good.
Yeah, but he had that old sprinting away from the centre clearance thing back again that we hadn't seen for a few years. I thought he was getting away and hitting targets on that horrible left foot of his.
Hey, it was not horrible.
Oh, it was at times. It could be horrible. Anyway.
I again really rate the turnaround. I don't think we need to rate them out of 10 anymore. Good on you, Dill. Number 10, Wantaway, incoming trade to Sydney, Aaron Francis. Look,
for a fourth rounder.
Steak knives. If I can click on the right button here, played 4 games in season 2022. Did kick 4 goals. Wasn't horrible. Look, it just hasn't worked out for the guy. Whatever it is, he's a decent player. He was excellent when he's played VFL.
I love the Frang. I'm just sad it never worked out for him.
Pick 5, I think he was. Pick 4 or 5.
Pretty high, pretty high.
Parrish, him and Parrish were successive picks. He was first, actually.
Yep. I hope that's not an omen for the other successive picks we've made. Anyway, I won't go on
that. Look, fully support his decision to go somewhere else, and I hope it works. I have no ill feeling. It just hasn't worked.
I just want to see him play some good footy.
I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no. We love the Frank though.
Francis. Yeah. Likeable dude.
Yep.
Number 11 is Will Snelling.
Not much to say, but he played.
Well, we have some criticisms of.
So he was shit house. That would be my criticism.
It's criticism.
He came back and he'd been injured, and we sort of let it slide for a few weeks. Like you can give me his stats, and I don't care because this is what I'm going to tell you. He came back. He had a few weeks to get back, and maybe he should have played more VFL because I think he kicked something like 1 goal. No goals.
0 goals. Yeah.
0 goals for the year. And I was getting pissed off every game. I kept saying to you, but he's a small forward. Like at some stage, tackles are great. All that other stuff. But you have to kick a goal. Like, that's part of your job description.
And I think the issue was that he was getting shots from 30 out.
Oh, I'm not making the distance?
And they wouldn't make the distance. Now,
concerning. Massive concern.
That's not good for a footballer.
I'm 46. I can still kick 30 metres, I reckon.
No, it's just scraping, I reckon. Depends on the day.
A wind. Downhill.
Again, I'm going to suggest you don't talk about Matt Guelphy when I say this. Finished third in the Brownlow, Jesus. He finished third in the Crichton in 2021, and we all sat there and went, yeah, he's a nuggety player. He tackles, he harasses, he's sort of smart around goals. just saw none of it. And again, could be injury. He's not going anywhere. He's on the list next season, so
Definitely.
he gets another chance to sort of go again.
Yeah, he's 25, so he's still got football in front of him. My concern was, and this is always you don't know, was the year before more of a fluke, or was the year, or was what we saw more consistent in what we're going to get? That I think. Look, I'll be honest, he's not starting. I don't think he'll be starting in our best 22 round one. He'll be playing VFL.
I think he's a reasonable depth player, and that's enough for me.
Yep.
Comments have stopped loading a little bit here, so I'm just gonna.
That's right, I can Phil. So anyway, the other day,
I'll refresh and make sure I'm getting them all. Yep. Phil, if you're still here, just comment so I can see if they're coming through. Just say hi.
Hi.
Or anyone who's here, just say hi. Actually, it doesn't have to be Phil. All right, moving swiftly along.
Maybe Phil left. Maybe Phil left at pick 8. This is shit, guys. I'm out.
Yep, maybe. Look, we're going to fly through a bit more now. We've been going an hour, so we'll try and pick up the pace. Tommy Cutler, delisted.
We're slowing down. We're going to make this painful.
Oh, Matt said hi. Thanks, Matt. They are working. Appreciate you. Tommy Cutler, delisted. Bit harsh, I thought. Don't think he was bad depth to have around the club, but...
Agree. I thought he was a very good depth player. Like, he's a very good VFL player. He had a couple of games where he had high 30 touches. And I would have thought you'd want guys like that at the club, that
depth, like it's not.
Yeah, like if there's a raft of injuries, he's a great guy to come in and play just a half-back role and or a winger role just to cover some ass. He's certainly not best 24 or 5, but not the worst player I've seen. And he's only, as I said, he's 20. 27. He's 28. I guess that's fair enough. 28 maybe. No. Anyway.
Yep. Anyway, delisted, so I won't waste too much time. Phil, still here just at work and having to do some actual work.
Phil, don't lie.
What a loser. No, that's fine.
I didn't go that far. That was pretty. Phil, I'd like to apologise.
Oh no, he's back. Cutler was a better Medi sub than Ham. I would be a better Medi sub than Ham.
I agree, because the thing about Cutler is he could play. He could play that half back. He could even go forward. He could play on the wing. He could play, just different roles. He wasn't great at them, but he was decent. He was tall. He was anyway. He's gone, so it doesn't matter.
Gonski, yep. Right. In the spirit of moving swiftly along, Nick Cox just played the 5 games. Really hard to comment. So I don't think we need to talk much. I'm
fascinated to see where he goes next year. That's going to be a really fascinating. What I'm really interested in is body shape in 2023. Has he put on a kilo?
Did you know he's 2 meters tall?
Please tell me he's more than whatever he started was. What was his weight when he started? Because I hope he's into the 90s now. Because he needs to
kilos according to the website.
Well, he needs to get into the high 90s. That needs to be his next goal. Put on some kgs.
If he wants advice, I'm there.
Well, Sam, if he wants to get into the fat
suit, I can offer some advice on putting on kilos. Okay, number 14, Mr. Jordan Ridley, reigning Crichton medalist up until a few nights ago. 20 games, no goals. That's okay. You're a defender. Yep. Elite in disposals, not above average. That says below average for tackles, but that's okay. Elite in disposals. He's Mr. Consistent, although probably wasn't quite as.
What?
I was going to say consistent again. It just seemed a bit weird to say it twice.
He got a Brownlow vote, I remember.
A vote. Congrats.
Exciting.
On that, Jordan. He's solid. I think we have too many defenders around his height, but that's not his fault.
So what is he? 192, 79 kilos I've got on my list. What have you got?
Oh, Essendon website has him 195. So.
Okay.
Anyway, we have a lot around that 193, 194. We seem to have a lot of our defenders fall into that height category, and it's
and this is why he makes a really good defender at not playing on the tallest defenders. But if he's playing on the medium size to maybe even the not smalls, but the medium sort of below medium, then he's very, very good. But if he's stuck on the the Mackays or the Hawkins or those guys,
they're all going to get a bath against those.
We're freaking in trouble, which did happen a bit this year. And
again,
same with the guy we're going to move on to next.
Absolutely worth noting that Jordan Ridley's still 23.
Oh, 100%. He is. I think the sad thing about it is, as you said, he had an awesome year in 21. And, I think was he All-Australian?
No. Might have been in the 40. He wasn't 20.
He was in the 40, yeah. So he was in the 40. Whereas this year, he wouldn't have been in the 90. He wasn't
He
just
wasn't horrible still, but yeah.
yeah, but he wasn't. He wasn't. He certainly took a step backwards, and that's always disappointing. Not unexpected. Football players can't have every year the greatest year in their career, but
could also be a bit more commentary on the team as a whole and our defense as a team would have had
exactly.
Sort of
Again, next year is going to be really interesting to see how we defend and our defenders play.
Yeah,
because we were quite critical of a lot of them, and we still don't know. And time will tell if it was the players or the style. Time will tell that. If we turn up next year and we're still doing the same thing, we'll go, well, surely it's the players now because the new coach wouldn't have rolled up. So we'll do what we were doing last year, boys. It seemed to go well.
Yeah, Brad just walks in. Whatever happened, just do it again.
Yeah.
She'll be right. Phil Riddle's got figured out this year by opposition. Yeah, probably fair enough.
Yeah.
And again, what you were saying as well is he had to play on some more quality opponents as well, which wouldn't have helped. All right, moving on to Laverde, Jaden Laverde, number 15. Yeah, are you right?
What's on the Muppet song? Moving right along. Go.
Anyway, 22 games for Lav. Again, I got a lot of tough assignments. Was playing on your Hawkins, was playing on your Mackay, was playing on blokes that were 10 centimetres taller than him constantly until BZT came in later in the year. And I'm not even going to look at his stats. He fought hard. He's tough as nails, and he lost some battles. He won some battles, and I got no problems with the football he played.
And won the Adam Ramanaskis Most Courageous Player for that reason. Like he's all heart and soul. You give him 100%. He's courage. The problem was he was hopelessly outpointed on many occasions because he was playing against guys that were just too big, and we didn't have anyone down there that we could send against those bodies. And the issue is, I don't think he can ever be that guy because he can't get taller and he can't get much stronger. So between him and this is why I'm fascinated between him, Redmond, Ridley, and if Heppel's going to stay down there or McGrath, like who's going to be our tall and small defenders down there? So that'll be really interesting.
Yeah. Again, another one of those defenders that falls into 193.
Yeah. See, not quite big enough, not quite fast enough. Just if he was 198, he would be a super defender, like all-Australian defender.
Nothing wrong with his work rate at all.
Nope. And skill and a bit like he can body well and all that sort of stuff. But in the end, he just arms aren't long enough and legs aren't strong enough, to do what he needs to do.
What you said, he's not going to get any taller. You can't make yourself taller. So, yeah, tough gig. Number 16, Archie Perkins. Kicked a critical goal, I remember, against Hawthorn. 18 games, 16 goals. Good return for a 20-year-old.
For a second year.
Yeah. Again, nothing really standing out with his
moved
stats.
to the midfield a bit more towards the end of the year because of I think that with that whole pushing Merritt around the ground, and they sort of changed up their midfield rotations a bit.
Yep, sorry, I thought you were going to keep talking, so I tried to get a quick yawn in.
We're up to 16, Sam. Hold it together, buddy.
I know, it's a school night.
We're not even halfway through.
Yeah. We'll get quicker because the higher the number, the less likely we are to really
crappier they get.
Yeah, except for 43. He showed enough development. He moves well. He's got a bit of that sidestep agility sort of ability. Yep. And I think, what did I say? 16 goals? 16 goals in 18 games. That's good for a 20-year-old. Again, young player. So...
Yeah, no, he falls. He's 20 years old or 21, whatever. He's got so much football in front of him. We've seen glimpses of this brilliance of stepping around players and kicking goals. Very excited about the future. No problem with him. Move on to the next one. I say he's a gun.
And the most impressive thing is he backs himself to do it.
Yeah, love that. Love takes it on. And his body will get bigger and stronger, and he'll get better and better at that. And he will turn into a very, very good midfielder.
Yeah, agreed. Look, we're going to fly through some of these. It's number 17, James Stewart, 16 games. 16, take off 10. 6 games. 6 games, 4 goals. Really only came back as a forward at the end of the season. I think he played maybe the first 3 games. And then
his career's in limbo.
Possibly the last 3. Again, no issue with depth as a forward to back up Or to back
Jones,
up,
and
Jones
back
and
up
those
Jones
guys.
and guys like that. Yep.
Perfectly fine. Don't see him in the best 22.
Nope.
But again, you need
Not good
depth
enough
at
to be a
football
defender
clubs.
because he was playing defence, and then they
He
took
was
him out of that,
shocking.
even though we were short. We
Yeah.
were short at all.
Not at all. That's been our saying all year.
Yep.
You got to have depth at football clubs. So I think that's what he is.
Yep.
And
Depth player.
again, move on because what else do you say?
29. He's 30 this. No, he's 29 this year.
First retiree on the list, number 18, Michael Hurley.
What was Devon Smith?
Second retiree of the year, number 18. I went through in my head.
Fucking hell. This is getting bad.
Again, we're not going to talk about Michael Hurley's season. He played one game of football, came back, kicked a goal, created a lovely moment with the Richmond
and now has a
getting around him.
A role at Essendon as a welfare officer or something? Or
yep.
You don't know.
I know he got a role. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, something like that. Someone can comment if they know. But that's great to have him around the club. Again, I'm very happy to have guys like that around the club.
He's an Essendon person. He's one of those.
He's a good person. He's not just an Essendon person. He's a good person.
And you'd be hard pressed to find an Essendon fan that don't like him.
I'm sure he could. There's a lot of dicks out there.
Yeah. Anyway, love your Hurls. Move on.
Nick
it'll be a controversial one for us.
Nick Hind.
Look,
give us his stats.
I will. You wait. 21 games, which means over 2 seasons at Essendon, he has played 43 out of a possible 45 games. I mean, he kicked 2 goals. That's kind of irrelevant given his position. As a half-back, he is above average for disposals, above average for kicks, below average for handballs. I don't have an issue with that. And above average for meters gained.
But he's average at handballs. He's average at tackles and average at marks.
I think the biggest thing I can say about Nick Hind that sums him up for me pretty perfectly is that when he has the ball, he's lightning. He's quick, he's damaging, he's beautiful to watch. When he doesn't have the ball, he's slow and
can't catch anyone. He can't seem to. Everyone seems quicker than him when he hasn't got the ball, but when he's got the ball, no one can catch him.
There's that Dacos goal, the second game against Collingwood, where he just couldn't
catch him. Yeah. And I'm sure if it was going the other way, he would have just burnt him away. So no, he shits me to tears. I don't like him. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to get it out there. I don't know if he's right for our club anymore. I've said it there.
I'm a bit more, I don't know if pragmatic's the right word. It sounds smart. It could be the wrong word entirely. I would like to see him trialled in maybe a small forward role a bit more consistently. He kicked that lovely goal against Sydney to seal that game, which just showed a little bit of movement tackle, around the stoppage.
Plays a forward for us.
A little bit of movement around the stoppage and was able to chuck the ball in the boot from 40 out and it sailed through. Kicked a lovely running goal last year against Hawthorn. Like he has that ability around goal. So I don't like having 2 attacking halfbacks in Redmond and him.
Exactly. And we had that issue with the Irishman and Sard.
Yep, correct.
You and I got sick of the fact that they'd both be running up the ground to try and kick goals and then the ball get turned over and where the fuck are they now?
You can have
Why are they so slow when they're chasing?
But probably just one.
Yeah, and that's why I think Redmond is a better player at it. Personally, I think he's a better player overall, marking, kicking, reading the play, which is really important.
Even getting forward, I would say Redmond kicked more goals than Hind.
Yep. So I think the thing that frustrates me about Hind is that he thinks he's now this attacking defender, which I think for me, I'd have D'Ambrosio playing instead of him.
Yep. Would you stick him in the forward line?
It would depend on the development of the guys like the Davies. It would depend on where you're going to play Ben Hobbs. It would depend on, you can't have Langford, him, there's too many forwards. So,
depth? So you'd put him in
He's a depth defender for me.
Fair enough. I agree with that as a defender. I wouldn't be against him being chucked up forward for a few pre-match games and just.
I don't have a problem with that, but I've got to see the other who else is playing down there.
Pre-season games. Yeah, well, we can't really comment on that because we don't know what the Davey brothers are going to come in. Anyway, so I've
got high hopes from those, sadly.
Phil agrees. He said inconsistent, needs to get the Jets going more often, or the afterburners, as that dickhead on Fox says. He's a forward when he was with St Kilda's VFL side. It'd be interesting to see some numbers from that. And I don't think you play Hind before Tex. Agree in sentiment, but Tex is probably just developmentally not quite there.
Tex is someone that I think in 2 years could be playing definitely in our side well ahead of him, but we'll see his development over that time.
All right, we're going to move on because
we don't need to spend time on the next one. We don't.
No, we do.
We don't.
We absolutely do.
10 out of 10.
My favorite.
Peter Wright.
My favorite, number 20, Peter Wright.
10 and 10 is 20.
22 goals. Try again. 22 games.
Learn to read.
22 games. I was excited to get to the goals bit. 53 goals. Not only that, 53 goals, 26. Incredibly accurate. I'm not even going to read his stats. I just love the man.
And can I also mention just turned 26 in this month? September. Sorry, the month just gone. He turned 26. So there's 6-7 years of football left in him without a problem. If you look at Tomahawk, it could be 8.
I cannot, and I've said it 1,000 times during the year, cannot emphasize enough how much I love a bloke that can kick fucking set shots.
I love a bloke who can take a mark too and kick the set shot.
But what fascinates me is you watch any player around the league just about, when they have a set shot from 50, 55, they arc. They run around on the preferred side to get the distance. He is just all in a straight line.
Yep. Something worse than the most
glorious thing I've ever seen.
100%. Hey, did you know too he's over 2 meters?
He is 200. He is 2 meter tall. Peter. 7-seater. In case you were wondering how many seats.
No, look.
The AFL The AFL put put a video on YouTube. Christ, of all of his goals from 2022.
I did see. I didn't watch it all.
You can just skip forward to the second Sydney game.
Yep.
At the MCG, he has a set shot from the members' wing side of the ground. He kicks it from what Fox Sports said was 58 meters, and it hit the fence on the full behind the goal.
Okay, let's move on. Peter Wright, unreal.
That is unbelievable, and he did not arc. Oh, love you, Pete.
Fourth rounder too. Just
now it's boring. So
fourth rounder.
You're gonna be flat now.
Gold Coast Sun. We might not have got the Bows in pick 7, but we got him off him. We got them off a few years ago. So
there we go. I was waiting for Phil's comment. 7-seater, 10-litre, Big Peter. He's the best bargain pickup the club's ever seen. Dodo got one right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'd like to think Sam and Nathan told, but anyway, we're moving on.
Well, we called it before, but anyway.
Send him an email.
Whatever. Right, number 21. We'll fly through the rest because I don't care anymore. We've talked about Pete. 21, Dyson Heppel, again, probably a little bit on the controversial side for us, maybe.
Yep.
22
Second
games.
oldest player on the list now.
Yep. 22 games, nabbed to 4 goals, above average in disposals, elite for handballs, elite for marks, and below, just average for tackles. I don't know about Dyson anymore.
I was curious that the fact that I noted that he was in the last 2 or 3 games, he was playing a lot more of a forward role.
He's played defense. He's played forward. He's played on
a wing because we tried to cover him.
How we're going. Yeah.
I felt like, and this will be interesting how it goes this year. Felt like he was just put places to be out of the way. Yeah, yep. Sort of. I thought he should have. I thought he could have retired. Or if this Gold Coast thing was real, wandered up there for a few years. Personally, I'd really. He'll be an important player because we don't have senior players. I get that, but his role in the team will be really interesting because I think we'd all agree he wasn't great as a halfback flanker. He wasn't great as a wingman or a midfielder, and he's not a forwards arsehole. So
I don't want to disrespect the captain, and this isn't about the people. He's a great person around the club.
That's right.
Comes across very, very well as just a bloke, as a dude. Yep. As a footballer, he stinks. And I don't know how he's in the
time
side.
has passed him.
I don't know how he's in a side. If he's captain, you kind of have to be in the side, don't you?
Yeah. Well, unless you're incredible.
You can't really name the guy captain and then go, sorry, champ, your depth.
Well, he what was his votes? He won the best and fairest in 2014.
He was his first couple of seasons. He won the
Yep.
Rising Star. He was future captain at the time, which came to fruition.
Did he make our top 10 this year?
No, he didn't. No, from 22 games as well.
Yeah, I was going to say he played every game and didn't get in the top 10. I mean, that says, I don't know what that says because I think the Matt Guelphy one's weird. But that says to me, we wouldn't have given him any votes now. He wouldn't have got votes in any sort of thing. So just fascinating. Anyway, let's move on from that one because I don't know what else we can say. Then I don't know how much football he plays next year.
Correct. Yep, I'm with you. I think what we can all agree on is his speech in front of the Essendon legends at that Carlton game. Yep. We all would have fucked up. So 10 out of 10 for that.
Excellent. Yeah, that's probably
I would have been in a ball on the ground.
You would have had we coming out.
Absolutely. Great place to leave it. Number 22, Sammy Durham. Stars.
The second best Sammy at the club.
Third if you include me. But yeah. 20 games for Durham this year. 5 goals. Played on the wing. Inconsistent, but I'm okay with that for a 21-year-old. That's fine. Probably more of a winger than some others at the club. So
definitely a winger. That's the only role I think he could play. But
runs hard both ways, which is nice. Did some really nice things at times. And again, for a 21-year-old,
did some very bad things too.
He does have some derpy moments.
But that's what you get from a 20-year-old.
21, it's fine. Yep.
20, yeah, it's fine. Look, don't have a problem. Put another preseason through him, see where he comes.
Yep, absolutely. At worst case, he's good depth. Very good depth.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to set the world alight. He doesn't have the polish, I'd like to say, but he certainly gives the effort. And I'll tell you what I really liked about him stood out to me was overhead marking. A lot of times one-on-one, he took a lot of marks against one-on-ones that I thought, oh, he's in trouble here. And then boom, you'd take a nice hanger or something like that.
Yep, rate it.
So no, he's certainly something to work with.
We've got to be careful with the whole works hard comment. Because it's not good enough for some. But when you're a kid trying to find your way and you were a rookie pick in the mid-season draft, whatever he was, if you work hard, you're trainable, you're teachable as a kid.
But I also think that every AFL player should work hard.
It's the base expectation.
It's like we all do at work. We don't sit around freaking all day doing nothing. We all work hard. But
we did today. We had a meaningful chat at work today. About work.
We solve problems.
It was weird. Number 22, 23, try again. 23, Harry Jones, injury interrupted season, 10 games, 13 goals, perfectly good return.
Missed the biggest kick of his life.
Did rather unfortunately cost us against Collingwood. No, he didn't cost us directly.
But if he kicked it, we would have won the game. Yeah, that would have been nice. I wonder if Truck would have kept his job if we'd won that one.
Probably.
You could nearly blame him.
How much can you put on one kick of a football?
I'd probably say that was it because you would have thought if we won that game, we probably would have had more momentum, maybe win the next game and boom, season's all right. But no, we lost that game into poo.
Xavier Campbell still have a job?
Oh, probably. Clarkson would never have been spoken with us, so that would have been nice.
All your fault, Harry. Again, he's 21, no issues. He's coming along nicely.
Superstar.
And Yep, that's all you can say.
Yep.
24, Nick Bryan. It's my best.
Played what?
Stewie Griffin impression? 5.
Played
a couple towards the end.
Yep.
Look, all his stats say he's below average, but I don't think that's really relevant. He's 20 years old. He's 203 centimetres, and he looks to be a pretty solid ruckman for a 20-year-old.
He finished 3rd or 4th in the VFL best and fairest. He'd won it the year before.
Absolutely dominates VFL. His hit-out numbers in the VFL are incredible. 40 every game.
He's just a young ruckman. They take longer. He's got the potential you want to see. He's got attributes that work as a ruckman. So we need a second ruckman at least, if not a third. So him and Phillips are very, very important players at our club because Draper, anything could happen.
Well, you don't know. That's right. Yeah, God forbid. But wouldn't surprise me if he generates some interest this off-season, next off-season, because
100%.
If he's not getting a game, teams are going to be saying, hey, Nick, you're too good to be sitting on the bench, mate.
Yep.
So, that's about it. 25, Jake Stringer. I don't even know how many games. 15 games
Oof.
for Jakey this year. 25 goals, pretty good return. Absolutely
25,
stunk up the house against Carlton
Oh,
from injury, but
not better
other
after
than
that.
that, above average for disposals, elite for tackles, again, just based on his positioning.
Important player to have at the club, but I think his best is behind him, and I think his body's continuing
His
to
body's gonna
slow
come
him down. Yeah,
Yeah.
only 15 games this year. What, 19 last year or something like that?
Correct.
Just
19. Well done.
Thank you. I think the dream of him playing this midfield, like if
He's
you look
not,
at
no.
look at De Goey, who can do it all year, can go in and play that midfield, and then have a little effect up forward. Stringer can't do that. His body just won't let him do it. Interestingly, why I bring up a quick topic. I heard Dodoro say that Truck wanted us to get De Goey. And since Truck has been moved on, that the levels at the Essendon Football Club and that acquisition have gone down.
Interesting. I didn't know that. That is interesting.
Dodoro is quoted like he was asked.
And that's we don't want to get too much into it. That kind of sums up the last couple of years. Patch jobs.
Yeah. Like, why would you go? I understand De Goey's a very, very good player, but
he's not solving any problems.
Yeah, do we need that? Is that the player we need at the club?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Anyway, Jakey Stringer, as far as clubmen go and passion and all that,
he's the only one with tats.
Elite. Love his celebrations. He's an Essendon player now. I don't think of him as a Bulldog player.
Nope.
He's Essendon through and through. But yeah, I'm with you. I reckon time as a midfield's probably done. And stick him forward line if you can get.
He could easily kick 40 plus goals.
Got great value to the team.
And still have those little bursting moments through the midfield. Just a little,
Even just the forward stoppages. To be roaming around those 100%. Stoppages is good.
Yeah.
Again, yeah. So I think we'll leave it at that for him.
Still only 28, so plenty of football left.
Yeah, you got footy left. 26. Kale Hooker, Caden Baldwin, 4 games, 2 goals. Debuted on Anzac Day, I believe. Yep. No, he played round 1. He played round 1. There you go.
Get it right again.
I was winning a cricket grand final that day, so
here we go.
I'm
starting to you and myself. People push this out.
Numbers, what are you pushing out? Numbers are pretty average. So again, don't need to go too much into him. He's 20-year-old. He's a project for the future. Cost us nothing. See what happens.
Play VFL again. Get a whole year of VFL into him. See where he's at the end of that.
Keep him fit. Yep. 27 Red Dog. Mason Redman. Curious one for us. We started the year talking about whether or not he was inside.
Yep.
And we end the year saying he is one of our best players.
And people are talking about his captain option. I don't know about that.
I'm not sure about that, but 20 goals. That's the 17th time I've done that. 20 games. They both start with G. Can we change that? 20 games, 3 goals. The goals he kicked, I'm imagining, were all from outside 50 with a cheeky handball or a quick little play on. He's above average in disposals, kicks, marks, and meters gained. And
5 Brownlow votes.
Nice Red Dog. Just played the 80 games in his career, 25, still plenty
heaps of potential,
room to move.
That's why I don't think I don't see how the captaincy thing works. Like, for me, he's got to get another 20, maybe 40 games into him.
I don't think he's captain, and that's no disrespect to him. He just doesn't
100%
strike me as that kind of player.
Yeah. I think the captain somewhere has to be around the best player as well as someone usually who plays a bit more. I think you have to be nearly the best player. If you look at most clubs, they're in the top 2 or 3. And he's certainly around that mark. I'm not saying he's not in our best.
Qualities through your junior footy comes from you being good. And that's fair enough. Anyway, we love the Red Dog. He is our halfback. He is the interceptor. He is the runner. He is the goal kicker going the other way if he wants to be. So, top 5 player at the club, in my humble opinion. Alistair Lord did not play a game, so we'll just breeze past him. We're not going to spend too much time on VFL
Do love the look of him, though.
stats. Jake Kelly, who hilariously is wearing an Adelaide jumper on his profile on the Essendon page, but has Waller behind him, just to make sure we snuck Essendon in there somehow. 21 games, snapped a goal against Sydney,
Wow,
I believe.
that's horrible to watch. Yep.
It was the most awful goal you'll ever see in your life, but he kicked a goal.
And 7th now.
7th in our BNF, above average for marks is really the only statistical thing to write home about. I'm going to say he was pretty average, but I'm also going to preface that with the fact he probably didn't play the role he was best suited to for most of the year. He seemed to get a tall, then a short, then a tall, then a tall, then a short. And I don't like a lot of what I saw, but I don't know how much of that's just on the structure of the whole team defense and all that crap nonsense again. So I'm indifferent on Kel.
Yeah, look, I feel the same. I thought he was coming to the club for a specific role, and then for half the year he didn't do that. And the other half he did, and he was a bit better at it. So a fascinating one for next year to see how he plays or what role he plays.
It is going to be really
It didn't feel right this year. Something didn't feel right.
With a new coach.
Yeah.
How much change we see in that kind of player and their role.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
he gets next year, and then we can make probably a bit more of an informed call.
Yeah, like he's got a lot of attributes that should be very good. I don't know. Yeah, he's 28.
28. Yeah, well, like you said though, he was recruited for a specific role.
Yeah.
We thought that he just never played.
Yeah, well, he only played more towards the end when we actually saw some of his better football. So maybe if he played that all year, we could. Anyway, this is hard to say. I thought he had a good year, but at stages I really hated him. There you go.
Frustrating, but okay in patches. Someone we can get hyped about.
Yep.
Number 30, Brandon Zirk Thatcher, the hyphenator.
Yep.
BZT. 12 games, and I would imagine all of them. They played around 4, 5, 6, 8, and then from 16 onwards.
It was awesome.
As far as redemption stories, as far as turning your whole career around in what did I say? 12 games of football. As far as stories for us for players, there's none apart from Peter Wright, maybe none better than Zirk Thatcher. He was unreal.
He was our best tall defender from whenever he came in that round, whatever you said.
Round 16
there for the rest of the year. He was our best tall defender by the stretch of the Flemington Straight. Like he was so good. Like he didn't get beaten. He looked like, and I'm going to make a comment that will be stupid.
Like
he looked like Sauce at stages. Like seriously, there were moments when he reminded me of Silvani. Like I was like, geez, that was very Silvani. Like the way he sort of rubberized himself around and got down in the ball and then got off a handball or something like that. And I went, oh, that was there was
one
really
moment
impressive.
Sort of that is really in my head. I think it was against Sydney. They had a nice little, it was at the G anyway.
Yep.
Nice little chip kick inside 50. It was a beautiful kick to a forward. And one of those kicks that you go, well, there's fuck all you can do about that as a defender.
Yep.
And he just got this little Dustin Fletcher like little boop in. Yep. Didn't give away the free kick, punched the ball clean away. Oh, love it.
Yep. No,
defenders really, if you don't notice them, generally that's a good thing.
Yep.
But we noticed him and it was for so much good.
Yeah, and he's in that right height bracket. Like he's in the high 190s. Yeah, so he's probably a little bit in the thin side, but
it doesn't matter if you
can... but it wouldn't mind a few more kilos on him, that's all. Yeah. But doesn't necessarily have to mean like Harris, what's his name, 2 names at Brisbane?
Harris Andrews.
Yep. He seems to get by looking like a skinny little wet rat, but that's...
I like it.
And anyway, that moves us on to the next tall guy who could play any role for us.
I think just one last thing on BZT. Yeah. What really changed was confidence. He seemed to just
realize he could do
what he was doing. He looked so...
We'd seen that in the VFL, what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then we saw it in the AFL. Well, we hadn't seen it in the AFL, and then we all of a sudden did. And we went, I reckon if the penny has dropped, it's clicked for him. He's like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah,
I got this.
Fan. Big fan of what we saw. Well done,
Yep.
BZT. Awesome.
Whereas Zach Reed,
Zachy Boy Reed, I mean, only played seven games.
and came in and then was pushed back into the VFL from probably behind Zerk Thatcher, really.
Yeah. So he played, sort of in that times BZT was out, round 7 to 13, and then he only came back for that last game against Richmond.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot to talk about. He's very nonplussed about things. He seems very calm, very measured, but he's a 202 centimeter 20-year-old.
Yep, exactly.
It's going to take time.
Yep. And he's also come off a couple of injuries too that probably have slowed down his development too. So, yeah, no, I agree. There's a massive talent there. We'll just see if we can get him in the park for a bit more time.
Yeah.
And that might be VFL. Like he might just get through a year of VFL.
If he can play a full season of VFL, great.
Yep.
Awesome. Yep, no issues. Skipped over Brandon Eyre. Again, Brandon Eyre? Josh, close enough. And we'll go on to fan
Brandon,
favourite.
Zerk, Thatcher, and Josh. Combined. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Fan favourite, Braden Ham.
Fucking spud.
Had pictures of someone's, I don't know.
How does he play 11 games of football for the Essendon Football Club this year? Explain that to me.
I can't. He is below average in every single stat, which might be
below average in all. He's below average in height and ability.
Yeah. The stats thing might be a bit swayed by the fact he was sub. If I was going to be,
I think anyone that's ever watched him play will go, "Why? Why?"
He offers nothing, and again, he's still uncontracted. So I don't know if we're just hoping we get a trade for him for.
Who's going to trade?
I don't know.
Gold Coast? No.
If he stays on the list, which I'll be amazed if he does, it'll be interesting to see if he plays.
I'll write a letter.
I'll write, I'll mark away my bloody membership.
I would rather see to go back up our list. I would rather have us kept
Cutler. Yep.
Cutler at 28 than him, because don't forget Brandon Ham is
Braden.
He's 20. Brandon.
Thatcher.
He's 20. He's played 34 plus. He's played 45, nearly 50 games of football.
Yeah, like it's incredible.
He's 23 years old or whatever. He's played 50 games of football. He's not like a rookie draft that he's been at the club a long time and there's nothing happening.
Yeah, obviously the coaches see something. So I again really interested to see what happens if he stays around with Brad Scott, and it'd be interesting. But
agree.
Firm D list for me. Number 34,
oldest player on the list,
and Aaron Francis 2.0. Flipper. No one's ever seen them both in the same room.
Yeah. Maybe we're trading him to Sydney.
We'll just send him and hope they don't notice.
Bring him on to do some ruck work. That'll suck.
10 games, 4 goals.
Great backup ruckman.
His stats are pretty shite, but awesome backup ruckman.
Yep.
Really,
you need a guy like that on your list. A 30-year-old ruckman. You just need them on your list. They're just valuable.
And he's so normal. Like.
Yep.
I saw a little snippet of him doing an interview about his family. He's just doesn't give a shit. He's playing footy, but none of the big-headedness that goes with that. He's just there to do a job. And as you said, everyone needs a backup ruckman in their 30s. Like every club has them.
Yep.
You've spoken to one on the phone recently.
Yep.
Could have been a premiership ruckman, but anyway.
Could have been a 5-time premiership ruckman, but doesn't have any. Can you work out who that is?
Poor guy.
There's a trivia for you all.
We won't name names though. No issues with Flipper. He's solid.
No, 100%.
Right,
number 34.
Now here's the one you've all been waiting for.
That's fucking Guelphy.
Waiting for. I'm going to go first here because you've got some opinions that I don't necessarily agree with.
I think he's one of our best players, probably third best player at the club.
Fuck off. 20 games for Guelph this year, 17 goals. Above average on disposals, handballs, marks, and fantasy somehow with an average of 56.5.
Well, that's small forward, I guess.
He didn't kick goals in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. So 10 of his 20 games he didn't kick goals, which means in 10 games he kicked 17 goals. If you get my drift there. Chris Rule's in the house and called him a spud.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that.
Hang on, let me get there. He's 25, right? So he's right on that borderline of
Just
what we
turned
said about
25,
Durham
yeah.
and he works hard and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Guelph's getting a little bit beyond that. You need to be a bit more consistent and a bit more consistent. You can't just fly by on working hard. When Guelphy plays a good game of football, that GWS game, he kicked 4 goals and was clearly our best player.
Yep.
He's good. He's very good. He's good. He's good. I won't say very.
Yeah, that's
good.
very good. It's a big. Yeah, he's good. He's good.
He's good. He's best 22.
He's good. His best 22. I will go along with that statement.
However, he's inconsistent and can serve up some absolute stankers, which is why it blows our mind that he came 3rd in our best and fairest. That is all I have to say. You can tear him a new one now if you.
No, I won't. No, Sam, I won't. I think he's the third best player in our team. The issue I have with him is that the same facts you gave. He is 25 years old. He's played 83 games at our club, or so 85, something like that.
83.
83. He should be better by now. And maybe the third and the best and fairest is saying that. But here's my point about that. Number one was, and Chris will get this because I gave it to him the other day. Number one was right. He could go to any other club and get a game.
Yep.
Number 2 was Zach Merritt. He could go to any other club and get a game. Number 3 could not go to any other club and get a game. And that's my. I think he's a fine player to have at our club. I get why he's at the club. He's a clubman. Like he won some other award.
Best clubman award. Yep.
Best clubman award. And as you're right, when he gives effort, and I get that, that's really important. But you've got to have ability as well. And
I think he has ability to.
I think he has ability, but if he's playing a small forward role, he will be pushed out, hopefully, in the next few years by the Wanganese, the Davies. Like, here's a question: would you have Hind or him as a small forward?
They're way too different.
Okay.
I would have Guelphy in the side before Hind.
Yep.
And we told a lie. He didn't win Best Clubman. Redmond won that.
Oh, he won something.
He won the McCracken medal, but I don't know what the freaking hell that is.
Oh, that's I guess that's just like the best. Is that like the best effort? Like what do you used to get at footy under 14s? Like he turned up to every training session, sort of thing.
He got a certificate for Macca's.
Yeah, he got the best.
Yeah,
that's what that feels like. That's the best. You came to every training session and you helped clean up the jumpers sometimes. Well done, buddy.
Look, if anyone in the comments can shed light on what the McCracken medal is, that would be great because Google's not helping me at present.
No, the McCrackens were the family that helped form the Essendon Football Club back in the 18 whatever. So it'd be something to do with just the best clubman type thing. Anyway, I don't dislike him. I don't like the fact that people think that he's a really important part of our list, because if he is, then I'm worried about where our list is going. That's my concern.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think if he was a bit more consistent, I think we'd really get a lot out of him. Just trying to scroll through Twitter and see what the player's player is the McCracken medal. So he's popular among the players. And
that's clear. I don't have a problem with that. Like him and Sammy Draper look like best mates.
Yes.
I think they live together, actually.
And Guelph got the assist for goals.
That's right. So I don't have a problem. I don't dislike the guy. I just worry about our list if he's the third best player on it, as voted by the coaches.
I was going to skip over Garrett McDonough, but I do want to say that he got delisted, and that is will go down as the most bizarre pick of a player I've ever seen in my life from the national.
A 25-year-old who was shithouse and didn't get a game with us.
Just pick a kid. Take a risk on a kid. Why take a risk on a 26-year-old? I don't understand.
The next kid is a kid, now, and this is the other one I'll bring up. So Nick Martin played one more game, kicked 2 more goals than Guelphy on a wing, and had never played AFL before. Has played his first 21 games in AFL football.
I think they're different players, but I will introduce.
I agree they're different players, but that's the level I'd expect to be starting at.
Are you on the AFL website by any chance?
No, why would?
Well, can you just suss out what position Nick Martin is? He's medium forward. Sorry, it is on the Essendon website. As a medium forward, Nick Martin, and just enjoy this. Elite for disposals, elite for kicks, elite for handballs, elite for marks. had possibly, and again, I'm ignorant, so I don't know of any others, possibly the best debut of any player ever. 27
Well, it's
disposals
not
and
ever,
5
but in the
goals.
last few years, well, certainly John Coleman did kick 10 goals in his first game.
Oh, well, in living memory for people that aren't 108
people
years old.
under 30, yeah, let's go with that.
27 touches and 5 goals on a pretty dark day for the club.
It's a very good start to your football career.
Wow. When you weren't on a list at Christmas.
Yep, 100%.
He dropped off a little bit towards the end of the year, but he
Totally accepted.
when he had the ball around goal, I was like, yeah, Rusty's got this.
Yep.
Unfortunately, didn't hear anyone call him Rusty at the football. If we can get
we'll keep working on it.
Take off, that would be good.
I did see some footage of him working away at the gym in the last week or two. That's a good thing.
Yes, he's been doing a lot of that. Finished 8th in the BNF. Would have had him 3rd before Guelphy, but hey, that's just me.
He's a guy I'm really excited about. He could be a winger because he could. There were times when he was getting down and helping the defenders, and then also getting up the other end. Durham was very good at that too. He'd get down and help the defenders, and then get up the other end as well.
Just a great story as well.
The other thing too, I reckon about Nick Martin, I'll go out on a limb here and say he looks like he's got that body that will last. He's kind of skinny enough that he won't break.
Incoming career-ending ACL or something.
Shut up.
All your fault.
Oh, please don't text me round 3 when he busts. But no, he just looks like he's got a body that'll play like 300 games in a row.
But you doubled down on it.
Yep, doubled down.
Oh, shit. Nick, if you're listening, it's all Nathan's fault.
Sorry, Nick.
Rusty.
Phil's
likened him to Blake Caracella.
Yeah, 100%. I see it.
My football watching time.
Oh, God.
So I'll leave you to comment.
Yep, 100%. Very similar to that wiry, sort of skillful, just does what he does well.
So clean. There's no one I feel more calm about having the football, apart from Pete, 20 metres or 50 metres out. Obviously.
I don't mind it when Merritt's got the ball, to be honest. He's usually making pretty good decisions by foot. Anyway.
Next one to talk about is, very briefly, is Tex Wanganeen. 5 games, just the 1 goal. Got the debut as the sub, which would be one of those games which he didn't actually get on. Yeah. Look, as I said earlier,
9-year-old kid
needs to develop a lot more. He looks a bit fish out of water, but
he missed a lot of footy in the last couple of years because of injuries and COVID.
You stick with him for Wanganeen purely.
I think you stick with him because of what you've seen too. He's got elusiveness. He's got a bit of skill. So develop him in the VFL for a year, see where he comes.
Yeah,
100%.
Possibly the least of the what do they call it? Photogenic photos I've come across on this website.
Oh yes, I know who you're talking about.
Number 42, Massimo D'Ambrosio.
Oh, what about the Irishman?
Well, we're not going to talk about him because he didn't play football.
Well, we briefly said that he could at least mention that.
He's got a shit head.
It's really starting to drift here, people. It's gone personal now. Sam's first one to crack everyone.
Well, Nathan's just ruined Nick Martin's career, so
I'm not.
Calling someone a shithead is probably not that bad. Massimo D'Ambrosio, mid-season draft pickup, ended up with 8 games, 4 goals, looked pretty decent as a mid-sized, sort of small mid-forward.
Looked pretty decent as a pretty good defender too.
Can confirm he can kick.
Yep.
Again, one of those ones you just put in there, let him develop. He's 19.
Yep.
See how he goes. Number 43, he didn't play a game of football, but we need to talk about it.
What do you reckon the future of him is? With the rumors?
Honest to God, if he goes and plays for Freo,
I won't like him.
No, you can't say that.
I won't be very happy.
I'll be upset that he's not playing at Essendon.
Will it be something like Truck? Is it something that, is there something that we are missing that we don't know about?
To me, and this is my own personal opinion as a white Australian, so my opinion on this is totally invalid, probably. Essendon seems like a good club for Indigenous people.
Well, we have a pretty good history. Like I'm a white dude, so it's, but I would have thought Michael Long would have paved the way in the 90s for it to be pretty decent.
We've had some, it's not just about the quality of the player, but we've had some great Indigenous players. Paddy Ryder.
But Michael Long created the racism laws we have now in the AFL. Like
Dreamtime at the G.
Yeah, but he created he was getting abused playing football against Collingwood, but Monkhurst, and he punched Monkhurst. And then he went to the tribunal and said what he did. And they went, oh, hang on. Well, maybe that's fair enough why he did it. So then they changed the whole rules. Hang on. Well, if you're abusive, verbally, racially abusing someone, you
can get punched.
You can get punched. Don't know if that's how the rule is.
I mean, I'm okay with that as
Something
far
around there
as
like that.
society's concerned, to be fair.
Yeah.
Look, if he goes and plays for Fremantle, the game of AFL is better with him in it, and
100%.
it'll hurt me if
He'll
he kicks a
kick
goal
fucking goals
against
against us.
Essendon.
He'll kick
But-
goals against us.
If he plays another game of AFL football, I'm so there for it.
I'm pretty sure his
Even
mother's
asked-
though in Victoria, isn't she?
Yeah, I don't understand the Freo connection at all.
That's what I don't get either. Like, he's got no. Well, he has probably got a connection to WA, but he's spent since 14 or so. He's been in Victoria, hasn't he?
Victoria. Could be just wanting to get away from the spotlight
Oh,
of
yeah,
Melbourne.
course. Who knows?
Don't know, but look, I'd love him to come back and play for Essendon. But if he plays for Freo, I will still love the man.
He'd
He
be a
gave
great
us
influence
all
to
he
the-
could possibly give us.
He'd be a great role model for the Davy brothers.
Yeah, it would be handy to have around, wouldn't he?
Mm.
So yeah, whatever, Wallach. We
Yeah, you're right.
he couldn't have given us much more. So
No,
gotta
you're right.
recognise that.
I'll give you that.
Number 45, Alec Waterman, 8 games, nearly did it again. 8 games, 10 goals. Was quite good on Anzac Day, I seem to recall. He kicked 4,
Yep.
and that was about it.
Interesting player because in the VFL, when we watched the VFL, they were really pushing him as a midfielder. They were really.
It just didn't work.
He's not.
did it?
He's not a
No.
midfielder's arsehole.
No, he's not.
He's a good. He's a good small forward. He's a lead up, can kick a goal, take a mark, forward.
But really stunk it up after Anzac Day. Remember we
Yep.
talked about him and being, if you get 8 touches and kick 3 or 4 goals, you've got a spot.
Yep.
But
But he
he
wasn't
really
doing
was shocking after that.
Probably on the list, to be honest.
Yeah. Number 47, Jai Menzies, Essendon Football Club. Get a photo with a kid on the website, please. You've had 6 months. Come on.
Maybe it's AFL's fault. Let's blame them.
The real travesty here. He did play AFL. He played.
Yeah. Played
2 games.
Subbed in his first game, remember?
Yep.
Came on in the last quarter and kicked. Did he kick it? No, he didn't kick a goal,
Didn't
but he was
kick a
very
goal.
good.
He had a lovely little pass to.
That's right.
someone.
Mm.
Lovely. Again, stats wise, but showed enough. Showed a bit of smarts, a bit of craft, which is all you want.
Yep. No, 100%.
Very good at VFL. Kicked a winning goal against someone. There's some great commentary from.
Yeah, that was about second last round, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, it was late on. It was great.
no, look, I'm excited by him. I have no problem. I think he's got potential.
Yep, absolutely. And the last player on the list there is Tom Hurd, who was delisted. Rather unfortunate,
Never playing a game.
he was probably on the list a bit longer than he might have been otherwise if his last name didn't start with H and rhyme with bird.
Look, I did watch him in the VFL and he had some really good games, but I think his biggest issue is his body size is not he's pretty small and skinny. So he'll struggle in the game,
He needs more hair. If he just grew the hair a bit longer like Dad,
Might
he'd
look
be fine.
bigger.
Oh, he's got the
Well, the
ears.
other thing too, Sam, I think, and this is the exciting thing, is that so looking at our list currently as an overall now, after going through them all, so Peter Wright, who was 25 or 26 only a month ago, below him, there are Langford, Parrish, Redmond, McGrath in age I'm going backwards, Draper, Ridley, Zerk-Thatcher, Caldwell, Martin, Durham, Cox, Reed, Perkins, and Ambrosio, Menzies, Hobbs, and Wangani. So, there's a big list of players there that are 25, 26 and younger. And going the other way, the older ones are Heppel, Shield, Smith's gone, McDonald's gone, maybe coming back, and then Stringer, Kelly, and Merritt are the older sort of guys. So, very young list. And this is part of the things I just wanted to finish with. Leading on to the draft sort of talk is that I wouldn't mind it if we could bring in a couple of 25 to 30-year-old players that don't have to be well beaters, but just maybe have leadership, and play a role.
Yeah, I think we're not going to. Hopefully, we don't draft a 25-year-old. To me, that's fairly logical, but we did it,
Yeah.
so who knows?
But better than Garrett McDonald. Obviously, someone's playing in the AFL. Like, you know.
I don't know what the availability is like this year, but next year, I think, you look at some of those free agents that might be not amazing footballers, but just are experienced, maybe have played in a few finals.
Yep.
Just to get the age up a little bit. I think it's just a number and all that shit, but it's important to have leaders at the club that aren't necessarily your captain.
Well, let's be honest. If we look at the Geelong, the grand final for me, what stood out to me was that the Geelong, it was the Dangerfields, it was the Selwoods, it was the Smiths, it was the Tomahawk, it was all these guys who were over 30 who experienced big bodies, who could deal with the pressure and the situation of the day and dealt with it very well and were ready for it. And you know, I thought, wow, Essendon, that's the biggest deficiency we have, because we're just a young list that would have, you know, we get knocked around by those bigger body midfielders, and they don't have to be 6'4". I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about thick set, muscly guys. Like Selwood's not tall, but he's hard. You know, like
they were, even Sydney, you'd put in that category of good players, experienced players. They made them look.
But the difference there is Sydney, they're better players at being younger players. Not probably Parker and guys like that. But it's been a lot of their younger players that have carried them through the year who just didn't play very well at all in that game.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, the other side of that, if we can keep this group together, they all will hit that stage where they're 28 to 32.
Well, that's right. You're thinking 3 or 4 years' time.
That's right.
On the draft, we have pick 4, which will end up being pick 5 because of Marcus Ashcroft going to Brisbane. Me and you are pretty hard set on Sheezel. Harry Sheezel.
100%.
Just looks classy, goal kicker, mid kind of dude. Cal Twomey, who we respect and is probably the only media person we trust, has him at 4.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Has Davey Jr. at 15, so we're going to have to use some picks to bid on him.
Yep.
And we really, me and you, we are really interested in Mankura, who is
like that,
a next generation academy Indigenous kid.
Beautiful size and moves just glides across the ground.
Tipped to go in the 30s, and we are only able to bid on him if he goes beyond pick 40. So I'd be keen
to our little fingers on that one.
Well, I'd be keen to get us some picks in those.
We've also got to get the second Davey, and I don't know if the other Davey brother will come as like a rookie pick or or pick 70 or 80 or something like that.
So look, we won't bang on too much about the draft. If there's anything interesting that happens, we might just jump on and.
Well, what we're seeing this week in the trade period is that no one wants to come to us, and
why would you?
Well, why would you? We missed out on what I thought would have been a great deal with Gold Coast getting pick 7 and paying for one of their players, which is still a fascinating deal. We'll have our pick 5, as you're saying, and we'll get 2 first-round picks. 2 first-round players.
Yes, correct. We'll get a natural pick and Davey Jr.
Yeah, so that's
nice to have him that high up.
That's exciting. That's right. He's still and I would argue. I mean, time will tell, but I think he's probably better than what he's going to go at because he hasn't played a lot of that football like at the league, the under 18 stuff as the other guys.
Yeah. That's it. We've got it in under 2 hours.
Oh, well, no, we haven't. We've done over 6 minutes under.
Hour and 56 minutes we just ticked over.
Oh, bloody hell. If you're still listening,
look, the numbers have dwindled. Phil's still here. Phil,
how's work?
How's the work going? He did suggest we don't sack the kid whose name is on the members stand. Oh wait, whoops. Sorry, Hedy.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, didn't Sheed say that you don't delist the son of a?
Yeah, well, that's why he kept heard.
Quote, yeah, about that. Anyway, we delisted him, so yeah, irrelevant. Anything else from you? Any final thoughts that don't relate to us being a shambles?
Well, that would probably. Can we just not be a shambles for a little while? Can we just left and heads in.
I'm going to say
And-
something stupid up there with your Rusty Martin comment about never getting injured.
Yep. I like it.
It can't get any worse, can it?
Oh, God, that's a big one. Woo-hoo!
Short of a press release tomorrow that says Rolf Harris is our new CEO, surely it can't get any worse.
I just want to get into the preseason. I want to just read training reports. I want to, everyone's, trained there. So everyone's come back fitter than ever before. I just want to go back to that world where,
Positivity.
oh God, at least, maybe we'll win 10 games next year.
The start of last season.
Well, this is my theory. So the start of this year, we were pumped. Like I was like, oh, and sky's the limit. And it was horrible. So next year, I'm already like.
Little did we know the anthill was the limit.
Yeah. Next year, I'm already like totally fucking over it. Like we're going to be shit house again next year. So maybe I'll get a reverse in their results.
I think the beautiful thing about having no expectations is that pretty much anything's overachieving. I feel like 2021 was a bit of that. We didn't expect to play a final. We didn't expect to win 11 games. Like we thought we'd be bottom 4 at that point. We were a year early. So football's easier when you have no expectations. I live and die by the fact that the worst thing in football is expectation. But that being said, excitement of a new season, young list, all this off-field stuff will sort itself out.
Yeah.
And you only have to look at Richmond and Melbourne, and to a lesser extent, Port Adelaide.
Yep.
They were rabbles. They were absolute jokes of football clubs once upon a time. So
not that long ago, really, either.
No, you can turn it around. In the space of 10 years, between
long.
3 of those clubs, they have 4 flags, and Port have been very close a few times. So there's hope.
Yeah, no, I agree. That
should be our membership slogan. There's hope.
Not
whatever it takes.
Slogans. Yeah.
Not whatever it takes.
I still will, like going through that list, I still think there's enough good players there to build, we probably need it. We're short of tall. I think we'll agree on that. I'd love to see a quality wingman develop or come into the club, whichever way. Like an all-Australian wingman. And then I really think, then anything
will be okay.
It'll be okay. Well, if we could just get out of the freaking media, that'd be awesome. Just stop being reported.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, we might jump on and recap the draft if there's anything interesting to talk about, draft trade period. If not, we'll jump back on next year and that'll be that. Thank you,
Nathan. Thank you, Sam. Sorry for going through this with me.
What? Okay. Thanks to those that have listened to us live on Facebook. You've lasted 2 hours. That's incredible. Wherever else you're listening, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever it might be, we appreciate you. And I say it every time. Go Dons.
Go Bombers.
We love it. Toodles.
Do we love it?
Yeah, we do. Bye.
Bye.